Hi folks, welcome back to Lewis on Film with me, Lewis, and today I want to talk to you about the film One Night in Miami. So the story here is that Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, Sam Cooke and Jim Brown all met in a hotel after Cassius Clay won the world title, the world championship title, and they discuss their sort of their stake in life, what they're going to do next, how they got to where they are, and their roles in the sort of civil rights movement and how much they want to get involved, how much they should be involved, and that's basically the story. It's these four legendary men in one hotel room for the evening, and they discuss their place in life and what's going on in the 60s at the time it was set. So getting the obvious thing out of the way here, it's four men in a room for the majority of the film talking about something quite important. They are all excellent. They're all really, really great performers. Kingsley Ben-Adir, who plays Malcolm X, I think he's the man kind of at the centre of it all. He's the one who organises them to be there. The most enjoyable performance, I think, is probably I think it's Eli Gorey. I think it's how you say it, Gorey, who plays Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay. He's the most enjoyable performance of the four of them. Aldis Hodge, he's kind of the one who underplays it the most. I think he's the man in the room who just kind of takes a step back from the action and just says his piece and works himself through it. That's how I kind of saw it. And then Leslie Odom Jr. plays Sam Cooke. He's the one who's just been nominated for the Golden Globe, and he probably is the most standout of the performers. I think that's very fair to say. But that's not to say that all four of them don't perform well, because they all do. But Odom Jr., I think, he's the one who deserves his Golden Globe nod for his very nuanced performance at times, but equally he speaks completely from the heart when he delivers his lines. He's completely in that zone. So yeah, all four men are really, really good in it. It's very nicely shot. Again, it's one location. Sort of the lighting is set in a certain way, and it doesn't really change. But obviously, we do see outside of the room, sort of in the first instance, for the first sort of 20 minutes where we're introduced to each character. And this was actually 100% my favourite part of the film, the first 20 minutes. So first we meet Cassius Clay, and he's in a boxing match. Then we go away. We meet Sam Cooke. Then we go and meet Jim Brown. Then we go and meet Malcolm X, and we meet them all individually before they meet together. And the reason this was my favourite piece, I think, is not because they're together later on. That's not what I'm trying to say. But we get their personalities. Their personalities come out so beautifully in these first 20 minutes. And it's a full credit to Regina King, who's the director, of course. She's a recent Oscar winner and a veteran actor in her own right. But she understands that the audience kind of need those moments with, especially if you're going to give four men in a room the scope to breathe. We need to know who they are, what they're about, and that first 20 minutes does it. It's a fantastic scene with Cassius Clay in the ring. The most powerful scene, which could have been just an Oscar-winning short film in itself, is Jim Brown and Aldis Hodge when he goes to see Beau Bridges. In fact, I don't want to spoil how powerful that scene is when it happens, but I was watching it with my partner, and her jaw just dropped to the floor at the end of that scene, and it is very, very powerful, very, very hard hitting. So. Yeah, and then the Sam Cooke scene is just as good, but in a fun way, to an extent. So yeah, I think the first 20 minutes lures you in beautifully, and I think it'll be a lot of people's favourite bit of the film, because when the actual plot starts to unfold, and we get the middle bit of the film. The ending's actually quite good, but the middle bit for me just felt I didn't know what the conversation was. In the back of my mind, I knew what the conversation was, but actually in front of me, I couldn't tell you how it started, how it got there, and why it got there. And the reason for that is because the sound mix of this film was terrible. I'm sorry to say, I could barely understand what the men were saying, and it wasn't an accent thing, because later on in the film I could understand that. I could understand them perfectly, but sincerely, I couldn't tell what the men were saying. Not that I didn't understand what they were talking about. I just couldn't hear them. And I turned up the volume, and the music underneath the surface was louder than what they were saying, and it just felt off straight away to me, which was a shame, because generally speaking, I'm a big fan of single location films, dramas, and obviously recently there's been a few. We've had Fences, the Denzel Washington film. Obviously Viola Davis won her Oscar for it. We've had Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, also on Netflix, which is out now. This film, One Night in Miami, is on Amazon Prime, by the way. But so these single location pieces, they have to be concise. They have to have the essentials right. They've got to have the good sound, so that when someone's talking, you're getting what they're saying. There's no muttering. There's nothing under the breath. Nothing under the cut. I felt like I needed subtitles on with it. It was distracting, and it was really off-putting for what is something important. And I don't dismiss that it's important. But the way that it's presented to you is fine. Visually, it's fine. But yeah, there was an issue with the sound. At least when I was watching it, there was an issue with the sound. So yeah, I don't know how to say that any better than that. Unfortunately, it was just distracting in the way that they were saying things that were mumbled and didn't really click with me. Now, sometimes I think you just need to accept that maybe a film isn't for you, and that's kind of the way I feel with this one, as much as I hate to say it, because I don't know anything about this. I mean, I thought when it said it's based on a true story, I completely believed it. I had no idea that, and I went away and looked at it afterwards. It turns out this is a completely fictional account based on a play. So it's a fictional account based on a play, and how am I to know that? I've never seen a film with Malcolm X in, as far as I know. I'm fully aware that there is a Malcolm X film out there, Spike Lee and Denzel. I've never seen it. It turns out I did know who Jim Brown was. I've seen a couple of his films. He was an NFL player turned actor. I've seen a couple of his films, but that's it. I'd never heard of Sam Cooke, I'm sorry to say, but it's not. It's an American film about something that happened in America, about the anti-racial rallies and stuff in America, about a culture that I am not a part of, and it's as simple as that. It's not that I'm not interested to learn. It's that I'm not a part of it, and there's nothing else I can say really other than that. I just didn't feel like this film was aimed at me, and it had information that possibly was supposed to already know about, and I didn't, because it's not in my history. It's not something I've ever learned. So I'm sorry that I didn't latch onto it in a way that I was supposed to. I would have liked to have done, because like I said, I am a fan of single location films. I'm a fan of historical films too, but sort of given the fact that it isn't actually accurately historical, but nonetheless it's important. I don't dismiss that. It is a very important film, and to learn about these people's outlook on life. Like I say, I had no idea that even Muhammad Ali was a Muslim. And the fact that he became one sort of through Malcolm X, that's interesting. But I didn't know about it. It's like, oh, how do you not know these things? It's not in my culture. It's not in my history. I'm sorry, it's just not. So there you go. That's just the way it felt for me. It just didn't feel like it was made for me to watch. Even though now that I've watched it, I'm very interested to know more. So maybe I will go back and check out these films and these stories. So the best thing I can say about it is exactly what I said a few seconds ago, which is that it makes you want to go away and learn about these characters because they're all wonderful characters. And I understand that Malcolm X died about a year after these events are set, as did Sam Cooke. So yeah, it's important history. It really is. It's important history that I haven't learned because I'm in the wrong country. I'm in the wrong culture, and that's just the way it is. But of course, there are plenty of ways that we can learn now. So I would absolutely love to. That is the best thing about it. I'd say that it's a lead in to going away and doing your own findings of some great people who existed. The obvious comparison here is, like I say, it's based on a play. The August Wilson plays Fences, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. August Wilson was a terrific writer, though, and I just don't think the man behind this one, I know his name's Kemp, it's Kemp Powers. I just don't think he's got that same integrity of writing that August Wilson has. But that doesn't make the film any less good. It doesn't. But I do recommend that you watch this with cranked up volume, really settle in, really pay attention, really let the first 20 minutes take you over, and just be prepared to sit patiently for an hour or so, because the last 20 minutes are great as well, and then just that middle hour, it's important. It just isn't exciting or electric. It's just there for you to take the information from that is important and the history that you can learn from. Thank you, folks. I hope you enjoyed this one. Do let me know what you thought of it. I am genuinely very, very interested to know about this one because, like I say, I did want to know more. I just feel like I was misled into something that it wasn't actually there. So do let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time.